welcome to Critical Tumble, where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography, but not national holidays, to, via the power of Discord, to play Dungeons and Dragons, and not even critically fumble a lot. It's more just to throw themselves upon the mercy of my dice and the RNG. Maybe if the RNG was attuned to me, you guys wouldn't have some of the problems you have. I don't know. But that's not going to happen because I'm not a decker. No. Wrong game. That's like 2 universes over and we lost the one individual in that whole thing with any brains. Anyway.
But any brains on demand. Some of us have them, they just don't activate at will.
No, you had all the charisma and lots of magic, but zero actual fucking common sense.
Ah, yeah. In regards to that particular aspect of it, yes. That is true. Zero brain, head empty, all magic.
Yes, you didn't need any brain, you had your sister.
And I had an axe.
He was playing a troll, he had an axe, and one of his main things, because significantly high dex, significantly high strength, and so modified, it was untrue, and one of his favorite things was parkour, motherfucker.
The only 4-syllable word he knew.
Parkour, motherfucker, and I have X. And basically just I have X, and it's whatever object is in hand at the given moment.
Pretty much.
Do I get to hit things now? I think happened a lot. Anyway, previously, the wedding reception of Remy and Alice happened. So did the wedding gift from Remy to Alice. That went interestingly because now, thanks to my fucking percentile dice, Alice now has physical wings. The party went pretty well for a somewhat impromptu deal, and Remy and Alice swanned off to their first night at the incredibly fancy hotel. Alice decided to take the long and high way there by essentially, I can fly for however long I want to, you're coming with me, grab, yoink, boom. And I think modesty will draw a veil over what happened there. I don't know when/if Remy wants to call on Ziriel for what the fuck, so I'm gonna ask you.
Not any time in the following 12 hours.
Fair, okay. So yeah, I mean, it was more of a, if you want to be yanking the thinky bits of me into the, I was thinking more you might want to go, if you were going to yoink bits of me into the celestial plane while I'm asleep, by all means I want a word. That's up to you.
Yeah, now Remy's definitely distracted and also eventually / exhausted.
Fair enough. Yes, so
That's a hell of a way to put it, but okay.
modesty draws a veil.
Mm-hmm.
I love the specificity of the 12 hours. That was awesome.
Yeah. One thing that they're finding is that Alice's wings do kind of compact when against her back when she's asleep, so while she has to be the outside spoon and sort of off towards the edge of the bed just in case, she at least doesn't have to sleep completely on her stomach at all times, which is well enough, but it's still a little, I have to sleep this particular way or on my stomach, or it's like that thing. If she rolled onto her back, she could lie on her back with her wings spread. They have a surprising amount of range of movement, but that would involve Remy lying on them, and you know that thing when somebody lies on your arm all night? Imagine that with wings that size.
Ow.
Yeah, Alice thought about that for like 10 seconds and then just went, no. No, I don't think shaking out pins and needles out of my, out of a wing would be, safe for anyone involved. It's like, have you ever, I mean, you've seen swans, there were swans downstairs. Imagine one of those doing that, except bigger.
Remy is quite happy to be the little spoon.
Fair enough. Okay, so yeah, that is that. And come morning, I'm assuming that the rest of you, and eventually heading back to the to the Riddler stump and your own various rooms. Clarity after a little bit of awkwardness during the reception, owing to certain proposition made by Crea Bendis towards Hazel, decided that if she kind of wants a little bit of space, so she's gonna head out and do her own thing. Froseth, meanwhile, is going, actually, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I still haven't been able to get to the Temple of the Four Elements, and I'm sure there are things that that I have to discuss with them and vice versa, so, you know, scoffs down a bit of breakfast and both of them head out. The rest of you were more or less gonna meet up with Remy and Alice in Fancy Digs, but preferably not too early, so Polly is just, you know, nibbles if anybody wants them, and tea and coffee.
That was slightly more eventful than planned.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Totally.
What's wrong with you? You've been weird all evening.
By this point, this is morning, but she's still weird. Apparently,
But,
yeah.
But even yesterday,
Yeah.
even yesterday, yeah.
You've been weird since the reception is probably the better way of putting it.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how to put this without sounding either incredibly crude or just
Polly is full of yourself, perhaps?
that and overly impolite and several other things. I'll clarify to individuals later if anyone really wants to know, but just
You've
Still stuck on that.
You've given yourself an opening now. There is very little in the way of point of sitting upon it. Besides, I am innkeeper and hotelier. I do discretion.
you are wonderful.
But they're just going to
So-
give you that look until you say something.
So I got propositioned by Crea Bendis?
What?
Yeah, I'm still trying
How?
to wrap my head around the how and the why and the what.
Well, it certainly explains why.
Brain.
I think it does explain why Clarity left so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Ow.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't she? He, she, I forget.
No, Crea Bendis is very much she.
Okay. I thought she didn't really like you guys.
No, me specifically.
Yeah, that particular aspect is very, very Bard specific.
I was an ass. Very, very massive amount of ass.
You don't say.
Polly looks. Polly looks up. Goes, is this when you? Is this when you initiated a pushy shovey in her throne room?
Yes, exactly. As I said, massive amounts of ass. Completely and utterly, yeah, epic.
What I have heard was that he was not pleased with something that happened, and Cooler Head, surprisingly, looking in Hazel's general direction, are trying to nudge him in the direction of the door, and he takes her by face, and at which point anger happened.
Yeah, but to be fair, Hazel tried to cover my mouth, and I grabbed arm and then shoving.
Point of order. Polly has the right of it.
Not how I remember it, but okay.
No. But I mean, you were starting up.
Oh, yes.
The pushy shovey, yes.
Yes. No, yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Someday, maybe, possibly, if you squint from a distance, I'll live it down, but I freely admit I was 100% in the wrong on that one. So, trying to be better. But anyway.
Oh, she did not submit to violence. She did not yell at you even a tiny bit. I don't even think she properly acknowledged you were there.
I am so fine with that fact. I am okay with this. Trying to not be small. I was not trying to be small, but at the same time, I was also not trying to be
You weren't
mean.
trying to stand out either.
As for you, I have heard things, looking in Hazel's direction, about both parties in point of fact, and it's possible that the only reason that she propositioned you at all was to make you stop looking at her like that one way or another. I believe the phrase is "put up or shut up."
That's wow. That's one way to put it. Still processing. Going to be processing for the rest of the day, I think.
Is better than put your libido where your mouth is, or vice versa. I'm not sure how that would work. and probably Darvin is now having no. I do not even want to go near that mental image.
No.
Is all right. I am sure that it has worked out wonderfully. You are surprisingly wise for one with such flail.
I try.
What do any of us do?
I don't think I'll love your flail. I was mildly surprised to find out that your paladin friend flails a bit. He is the most remarkably self-contained flail I have ever seen.
Almost in the bubble.
You know, that's a remarkable way to put it. I like that.
Well, instead of the arms going all out, it's in. It's like she wants to keep any flail from escaping.
But it still happens. It's just, I like that.
Is bottled flail. I wonder if there is a market for that here.
Yeah.
There probably is.
Oh.
Oh
Egref, I would not be
I
surprised.
love that I had the same thought as you did. As soon as you said bottle flavor, I was like, I wonder if there's a... I love that.
Well, I have lived here for quite some time, and you take well to this place. Surprisingly. Or possibly not so surprisingly, is just that you embrace the more chaotic elements of it with at least enough common sense to know what not to touch.
Admire, do not touch. Yeah.
Unless someone tells you it's safe to do so, otherwise half your wardrobe would be a problem now.
Although, speaking of market, I had a question for you. I'm looking, I was thinking one of the places I need to go is to get some artwork. But specifically done on, and he pulls out the shield, on this. But I'm not sure if that would be blacksmith type or a graver or what have you. I don't know who would do that.
He's a wooden shield, so probably not a blacksmith. And allow me to check the directory.
Oh, yes, please, by all means.
Pads over to a sort of sideboard thing, opens a drawer and pulls out this massive book with yellow pages.
Oh god.
Look, one of these days that reference is going to be nothing to anyone, so why not?
I was sitting here going, oh god, it's gonna be yellow, it's gonna be yellow.
I thought about making it another color, but then I thought, fuck it!
It's very distinctive, it's hard to miss.
And it's easy to read print on, yes. So,
yes, especially that.
well, that's why they're yellow.
Oh.
Also because the discoloration of age won't interfere with things, because back in the day when you weren't having new telephone numbers every 5 seconds, and new business every time you turn around, you'd keep your phone book. I mean, you could get a new one every year, but you'd keep your phone book for some other reason, and you do. So anyway, yes, it's a thump. Flip, 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 flip. You guys have no idea what the fuck this is. In character, anyway. I am very, very sorry to have to ask this, but I do have one question for you. The thing that you want upon your shield is a religious symbol, clan symbol, or silliness?
It's meant to be us, or about us. So I guess clan, but not really, and it's also kind of silly.
Silliness. Flip, 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 flip.
More silliness than anything, probably.
Apparently they have this subdivided from the looks of her.
Yeah, I just kind of turned to Hazel. They have this stuff subdivided. Apparently, this is awesome and odd, but it's also Egref, so yay.
Well, there's specificity when it comes to clans, because they're the ones that specialize in some of the shared family symbols of Ampere, or some of the things along those lines. So things like the brass arrow symbol, or any of the mercenary company crests, or that kind of thing. It's just that clan sums it up, because sometimes even the warriors of the people from way, way, way up north, they have less crests, but symbols of a type anyway. Normally animals or weather-looking kinds of patterns, but since you are making a thing up and it is you, I imagine it's silliness.
Yep.
Okay then, you want Bing, Bailey, and Morgenstern. I warn you, they're in his lane.
Oh boy. Okay. I didn't expect to take my life into my hands so early in the day, but okay.
Well, not so early in the day. Were you not going to meet your friends for a late breakfast? I assume that was why you were not touching the toast. Because normally you are face made of toast.
Put my foot in it again.
The piece that you have has actually been spread with something that you've never had, but tastes kind of like chocolate and hazelnut.
And you see the brain kind of going, well, I did this to shut myself up, but at the same time, this is what I don't know what this is, and I wish I hadn't crammed my mouth. What is this?
You broke up really significantly there.
Oh dear.
So can you
The
repeat some of
the
it?
expression on his face is, I crammed my mouth full. I wish I hadn't because this is amazing, and I wish to ask what it was, but I can't. So I'm going to just chew.
You can ask when you have swallowed your mouth full. Or I can tell you now because I can see what that expression is. Is chocolate and hazelnut spread? It putters off into wherever the kitchen is and brings out a little jar. Poof.
Makes note.
These are from our more this is from our more Egref specific grocery stores. You don't know what a grocery store is.
I know
What's a grocery store?
Well, you know how you have markets, which is all the the produce and the meats and the things along those lines, the fresh things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are best bought at market stalls, but there are other things, dry goods and preserves and that sort of thing, which you can buy in markets. But we also can sometimes have made in more quantity all at once. So instead of general stores, we have stores specifically for foods of that type.
It's kind of an indoor market.
Yes, except it's not so much for the produces. Except in some cases, the ones that we get the imports from up north around Damil, they have some of their dried foods and their spices, and you might wish to tell your friend who likes all the spices that she can get the things here. Although, if you're going up north, you might want to just buy them there because there will be a markup for import fees. But there's also some of the jams and preserves and things from Alzor High, and some of the other bits and pieces that you can only get in Belarus and surrounding, and other things, which is the more long living of what you can get from Ambir and surrounding. And then there are the ones that do our own specialty items, part of which is our choco nut spread.
somewhere in amongst all of that, finally swallowed, and just that is fascinating. And thank you.
I should show you the cereal. No, not cereal as in oats and things. We have various different flavors. I think what I have in the pantry at the moment is our cinnamon sugar flakes. Pads off, pads back with basically cereal box and bottle of milk. Bunk. Goes out, brings back a bowl, spoon. The cereal, milk, spoon in bowl, shoves it in Darwin's general direction.
There's a shot.
It's basically what you'd get if you combine Cinnamon Toast Crunch with cornflakes.
And what's funny is I've actually had that because they briefly came out with cinnamon frosted flakes.
Oh,
Just put that.
damn, nice. So yes, that.
Yes, it was so good. Just I'm eating slow because out of character I'm remembering the fact that I got that and then ate the whole box in one sitting. The things that done here and there is because I've done it myself.
Yeah.
In real life.
Looks over at Hazel having the ooh moment and just going, do you want a bowl?
I would most definitely like to try, yes.
Pads out, pads back, brings bowl, does the same thing and produces bowl for Hazel.
And I try this,
Yeah.
and I see through time for a few seconds.
I really wonder what is going to happen when she finds out about toaster pastries.
Wait, what?
I was like, Ava, you gotta try this. This is so good. Oh my goodness. Ah.
Polly Newman's out, Newman's back with a couple of more bowls and spoons for Barnabas and Ava. She's given up at this point. Punk. You have seen how to make a bowl. Is a kind of a pastry which is mostly but not entirely cooked, and it has fillings of various types in the middle. And we have an appliance that we call a toaster because it toasts things. Hence we don't just put the bread over the fire. We actually have a device for this.
I love Egref.
And so what we do is we put the pastries into the toaster, and then they are hot and fully cooked. And I do not have any at present, but I am looking at Hazel's face. I'm sure that one is going to go look.
I'm definitely going to go look, and I need to there are things I need to ask of where one would try to learn how to make any of this stuff if one were to be making it from scratch.
No. These are things that are not made from scratch exactly. But if you want some lessons in how these things are used and learned, as I understand it, the academy has a informal afternoon cooking teaching sessions where the various students, they all get together and they pool their cooking resources, because not all of them get a chance to learn properly how to cook.
I am now seeing through time again. I start to go hypersonic and then stop.
Tap.
While this is going on, Polly, with one hand over an ear, rummages through another drawer in the sideboard, pulls out a pad of paper and the pencil, and scribbles down apparently where Hazel needs to go and what time. And I think I know what this one is doing with her day.
I'm just patting Hazel on the shoulder, just reminding her, come down.
Breathe, Hazel.
Believe me, I don't blame you. Just the type of thing for you. This is perfect.
Is there any other sorts of things you might be looking for your day of liberty?
Where would be the best place to procure spell components, do you think?
Throw a rock.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's probably
corner
stores for that sort of thing.
There are in point of fact. They're mostly around the academy sorts of places, but depending on what sorts of things, you can buy most spell components just about anywhere. But there are in the academy district actual convenience stores specifically for spell components.
Are you telling me that Egref has magical bodegas?
Yeah.
This is literally New York City, slightly shrunken and magitect.
I love it. I love you.
No, actually, it's more London, slightly shrunk, and magitect. Not so much bodegas, but I know what you're talking about, because for us, they're corner shops, and they are almost to a building run by Indian, Pakistani, something like along those lines. So I know. I mean, obviously, I've also been to New York, so I know what a bodega is. But no, it's more corner shop-ish, because you walk into a corner shop here, and you depending on which store, you've no idea what you're going to find, but it's always going to be kind of interesting.
Same general idea with corner shops here in SF. They seem to have borrowed London's shtick.
They've borrowed a lot of London shtick. Remember, I've been to San Francisco too. So, yes, I'm going to apologize for this one in advance. You want to find a chain of stores called Home on the Range? I told you I was going to apologize, but this is Egref. Shut up. as I say, you will find them in and around about the shopping district and near about to the university spots. I'd avoid the branches in Izat Lane because that's recent prototypes for the most part. So you probably don't want to be using those in spells when you want known quantities. Also, I heard people gossiping about how the great and powerful dragon slayers also wanted to go to one of our animal shelters for to sit in puppy pals.
Oh.
And actually just scribbles out a couple of addresses. This is our more general one. This one is specifically service dogs, emotional support dogs, and adventurer support dogs. Most of those are the more elderly ones because these are ones that have lost their adventurers and are probably a little bit nervous as a result, but they are very protective and comforting to their owners. Just in case. I offered the same list to your tiefling friend on her way out. And you, sir?
I might join you on that for that part.
Works for me.
Letting you know now. Anyway, sorry.
Looks over at Barnabas and you, sir?
I'm just kind of with them. There's nothing particular I'm looking for.
Okay. What sorts of things do you like, sir?
Oh. Okay, so what was the name of that choco nut spread? I got a sweet tooth like you wouldn't believe.
Well, I know that you went to one of our sweet shops, but what I will do is I will compile you a list of some of our various things that are places that go in for a slightly different thing than Sweet Tooth or any of the rest of them. Some are a little more experimental, some are a bit more practiced, but and just jots down. Most of them look very much like things that specialize in certain things. Yes, this one specializes in chocolates and that kind of thing. This one is surprisingly entirely nut brittles and that kind of thing. The one here is all things gummy. This one is fudges, taffies, that kind of thing. And this one here is a city block devoted to jelly beans.
Completely.
Block.
It is a small block, but it is a block nonetheless.
I have got to see it.
Congratulations! I'm pretty sure you've caused a skipping of the gears in his head.
It is also 3 stories high.
How many jelly beans does he need?
There are many flavors.
I was about to say it's a variety.
And the top floor is their research and development area, where you can go, you can have a tour, you can see the making of in bulk, and everyone who goes there makes a recommendation for what kind of flavor that they would like to see. And if they pick one that there already has been, they're pointed in the direction of it. But if it is new, it goes into the suggestion pile. And eventually it makes its way into the rotation. That is why you can have a building that size with that many jelly beans. Also, there are many different ways to package them. You have you know those ceramic jars that you can sometimes get where you, as a child, you save your monies. We have them shaped like mimics here. Because apparently it is very satisfying for little ones who want to be adventurers when they grow up to smash the mimic.
That's adorable.
They come with mending spells attached to the cork that keeps the change in. You see, you have some who are patient, or they just say they want to disembowel the mimic, but some just want smash. And so all they have to do is tap the cork and boop, is redone. But in any case, you can get those filled with jelly beans. And various sample packs, and you'll get your personal shopper to help you pick the things.
Oh wow. I love this town.
Barnabas is probably going, it's amazing what I missed when I was dazed and confused after being dropped here.
Oh yeah. I mean, being dropped in is not a great way to have your wits about you, but still, it's amazing what you miss.
Yeah. In the minute he heard mercenaries over there, at least I can find work and they won't poke me for testing or anything. He was out and he missed all this. So now he's coming back with people who won't let him get poked at by Magitech people. And so now he's getting to actually experience this is based off what we used to have an M&M store.
That was that big.
It was in Leicester Square and it was fucking massive. I mean, it was the size of a small city block, multiple floors. I don't know either.
That sounds really cool.
That's like in Georgia, they have the World of Coke, which is pretty much like that, but for Coca-Cola products.
Okay, that I wouldn't mind so much, but But it's American. It's American. I'm sorry.
I actually do have a lot of the international stuff too there.
Oh, good. So you mean there's some without the high fructose corn syrup bullshit?
Yep.
God, I still remember when you could still travel on planes with liquids. I had forgotten about my 500 ml of British Coke in my rucksack. No, it was fine. This was before that whole mess.
All right.
And before everything cracked down really to hell. And I was visiting, just visiting for I think the Japantown Anime Fair. And Ben met me at the airport. I'd actually come out of customs, and I was like, he wouldn't, and there he is. No sign, but Ben, you recognize anywhere. He did. And I was just rummaging around through my carry-on while we were waiting for a bus, and I pulled out, and oh yeah, I'd forgotten I'd packed this. And he looks at me like I've just pulled the Holy Grail out of that fucking bag, and goes, "Is that the stuff that has like actual sugar in it?" I just gave him the bottle. I was just like, I can have it all I want when I get home. He was very, very grateful. Anyway, yes. And so it sounds like you all have very much planned your days, but and turns around to Flitty, who is nomphing on toast, and in Sylvan, would you perhaps go and check to see if the newlyweds are prepared to have breakfast companies? I think it's brunch companies. I do not believe that Sylvan has a word for brunch. Flitty peeps. It basically means second breakfast, but I'll go look. Yeah, so Hazel knows that one. As the word has a similar translation in Halfling.
And then I say the Halfling equivalent.
Yeah, and for Darvin, to be fair, for Darvin it comes out as brunch, but you can kind of see why. So, while these guys are looking at their map of Egref and planning their attack for the day, one thing for Remy, if indoors, LSA will always sleep with a window open, but thankfully she is larger than you, space heater, so you're fine. And you get peeping. Flitty peeping.
Remy belatedly wakes up.
Alice looks up and then kind of she presses her tongue to the roof of her mouth because she has the ability to speak to Flitty if she has to. I forgot about her tongue stud. And it's not peeping when it's coming from a humanoid, but it's she's heard Remy's heard Froseth speak this before, and Flitty just looks, and then kind of when something else, and then flies off. Yeah, they were just checking in on to see if we were about ready to at least start getting ready to face the day. We do have stuff to do. Besides, while bed is great, we do have this bed for one more night, and
That is very true.
the fact is that I like just doing stuff with you that doesn't just involve beds and nudity.
Yes, that's a good point.
But they are like halfway across town, so we have about half an hour. And
That's good. I need to remember how to cast Lesser Restoration.
yes, you go ahead and do that. I will try to find a shirt that I can wear. Flitty is as the fairy dragon flies. It doesn't take quite the amount of time that you guys do, and then you through the window and there, awake. They're probably gonna want breakfast, and you guys have a journey. If you want to go to the fancy place, but is it fancy? Fancy geese! Yes, there is a word in Sylvan for swans. It's just Flitty doesn't know it because they don't have those in Goldendale. They have geese.
How well would I know that particular word?
Yeah, probably. It's close enough to the word in Elven, and the Elven wild has swans.
You mean
The fancy geese have names?
they're not just fancy, they're also angry.
I would say lady geese!
The angriest geese.
I don't think they're angry, they're just protective.
Yeah. And also capable of beating up people.
I would say lady geese!
Shall we be
Hey.
off then?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea.
All right.
And just perches on one of Barnabas's horns and does the budgie tappy dance. Up and down.
Scritch, 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 scritch.
Actually, that's kind of hard for you to reach, because that's at the very top of, like, 6.5 feet-ish.
As soon as the reaching happens, Barnabas has like an almost automatic lower. He's used to being the big guy.
Oh.
Big people.
Well, at the very least, now he has Froseth to share the I am tall.
Yes. It's very appreciated.
Yes, in any case, you guys turn up at the address that Polly has provided for you, and Flitty is, well, I mean, Flitty can say approximately where, but Polly can give you the trolley routes. And what you wind up with is, I mean, this is fancy manor house looking kind of place, just a big courtyard with the swan pond right in the middle, and a little kind of a fountain attachment in the middle of this pond, and just the swans going around, and perfectly manicured gardens, and this two different restaurant kind of setups, one at either end of this massive spot. I mean, this is acreage. This is fancy as fuck. And I assume by this point, I mean, Remy and Alice actually have their choice of brunch eatery. They've got something that's a bit more, cafe kind of, French pastries and slightly involved food. And then on the other side of the vast bits of plot that this resort stands on, there is something that does a bit more in the way of substantial.
Remy wants substantial.
I'm not surprised, but I had to make the offer. So, yeah, off to your left, under this, at a table for many, because Alice does have common sense, under a very large parasol is Remy and Alice.
Remy's leaning up against her.
Yeah, and Alice is not hard to spot anyway, just particularly now. The arm that Remy's not leaning against. You guys look chipper.
There are plans.
We've all worked out what we're going to be doing over the day, so.
Aside from,
Aside from,
did any of us want to go to that play too? By the way, we didn't ask Polly where that was at, but
Bit.
I'm not. I'm gonna be too busy probably.
Yeah, me too, I think.
Remy just keeps eating.
in sort of an unconscious thing, while Remy is sort of leaned up a bit against Alice, that wing is kind of curled a little bit around her, not enough to impede movement, but enough to be like, A, comfort, and B, mine. So I'm taking that as a no to the play thing. Thank you. We hadn't.
Where are we going first today, wife?
Oh my god, you're such a dork. Yeah, well, I suppose it's what we've got, because the only other way we could be cute is if we were actually sharing a name rather than me just taking bits of yours where they properly fit. I mean, I don't know. I have to go see if there's anybody who can make or tailor clothes for people with wings. I'm not sure such a thing exists, but if it exists anywhere, it's going to be here.
Thought we were gonna look at new stuff too.
That's what I mean. That way they would still have to tailor that for me.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
And as I understand it, there's a race in the southern lands that's much more bird than me, but there'd still have to be tailoring, because while they have the wings, there's other bits they don't have so much.
Polly had a giant book, which is apparently a directory of everything. I mean, aside from just asking someone, maybe you can check one of those too.
It would involve finding one, so if I have to ask for one of those anyway, it's better to just go to the shopping district and see if anybody knows. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that the races that can't pass for human that evac from the southern lands seem to have come here. So maybe if I'm lucky, we'll have one of the wingy individuals that Ree was talking about running a tailor shop, because they'd have to make clothes for themselves as well.
Yeah.
But beyond that, what did you have in mind, milady wife?
Ah,
Well, if you can do it, so can I.
that's very true.
And I do it with more style than you do, because Bard.
It's also very true. The clerics of the forge to
Yep,
talk
I'm.
about my sword.
Yep, I'm probably. I mean, depending on how long they keep me in the tailors, you might want to take a. I'm sure you can be without me for a couple of hours, even on first proper day.
I
But-
suppose.
But we'll see. Because I'm assuming that there's other clerics we might have to talk to.
And there's also Heskan at the Temple of Palor, but we could leave that for tomorrow if you'd like.
I don't think it's going to change anything beyond how long I've had these things for.
No, it's just
Besides,
more serious discussions.
yeah, but at the same time, it gets them out of the way. And if you're and that's the thing, if you're going to be in, if we find the tailor shop we're looking for, you can go and hit the Temple of the Forge, and I can actually tell you where it is, because that's where I made that thing. And we can meet up at the Temple of Palor, and have a chat with him and say we can't stay long, so no, you can't poke at me. We need to go have lunch or something.
Sounds like a plan.
And after we do that bit, I will probably have new clothes or be waiting for them to be made, and then I can see what to do about helping you pick out some things.
Sounds like a plan.
No need to sound quite so enthusiastic.
Not very often that I'm dressing for somebody.
Wife,
It's a thing.
get used to
Good
it.
idea.
Besides, I'm pretty sure we've more or less committed to one last visit with your mum and dad before they head back to Belarus, and it would probably do them good to see you dressed in what they feel you deserve.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for inviting them.
Well, one of us should have that. I couldn't, so. You have face, Darvin. Why do you have face? You cannot resurrect my parents. They were assholes.
No. But that's actually something that's kind of been in the back of my head for a minute.
Resurrecting my parents? I'm teasing you.
Well, I'm not getting completely flustered, but only just. Family, you kind of do have.
Well, I mean, the people, but finding them is difficult at the best of times.
I'm talking
And yeah, there's the girls at Tipsy Pixie, but
which is kind of where I was going with that, because the teleportation, and this also came about because I was thinking about what I said about each location having its own energy and its own vibe and all, and the thing that we did with the I think I can do the teleportation circle as well. So I was going to say, when we're ready to bounce places, if I might be able to do I think I can only do it like once a day, maybe, because it's pretty advanced. But
it's better than once a week, as far as that goes.
Well, I'm thinking we take a side trip to the Tipsy Pixie and at least let them know this is some great news, and they knew you for a fairly long time, and they probably want to know and celebrate. So I wanted to offer.
It's appreciated, and I admit the only reason that I'm saying yes is because there's one other thing we have to do at the Tipsy Pixie. Constance.
Mm-hmm.
Barnabas, the Tipsy Pixie, just as a reminder, I'm sure it's come up a time or two, is an inn/brothel in Alzar High. I used to work there, as that's how I met Ree. But one of the employees who did not work in that capacity there, she went by Lisa, but her name is Constance Langerhan, and she is the heir to Goldendale's Baron. And one thing that we haven't mentioned to you, I think, Barnabas, is at least not beyond maybe something in passing. Baron Langerhan is actually the rightful king of Baronsveer.
Oh.
So we murdered Jain Naran III, big black dragon asshole, and we actually have a king to put on the throne who's not an asshat. And when that happens, somebody has to take over the baroncy of Goldendale, and that would be his daughter.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Apparently these guys kind of freaked her out, Constance, the last time we went there. I might have better luck. I mean, I didn't know any of this at the time. And when I sort of did, when Darwin told me about it while we were traveling, it wasn't very long after that I got the whole thing where I was denied Brass Arrow Hood because thing, and then I went out to try to get back north, and then there was the big red dragon, and everything else happened, and, things like that kind of slip your mind when you're still trying to get used to being back from the dead.
That's fair.
So now it's like, there's that, and there's somebody else that we probably need to have a word with. We or somebody might need to speak to Calatiel, because we don't know where because as I understand it, the Baron of Gray's Inn got away when that white dragon attacked the place when you first crossed the border. Because you guys haven't thought about Gray's Inn in a while, I don't think, beyond when you were telling me the story. And I mean, I get it, I'm not judging, I'm just saying the survivors, the son is with you guys, with Goldendale, but the apparent, and at least the Baron would have been shunted out, and he would have been on one of the last trains before they collapsed that train tunnel between Gray's Inn and here. Calachel might know where they are, and I mean, I know eggs in one basket, maybe not a great thing, but at the same time, to have them in one place to be able to lead a proper revolution against these dragon assholes. Not to mention being under the protection of one concentrated entity rather than having a couple of different places to hit. I mean, on one level, I don't think that Crea Bendis would let anything happen to anybody in her territory, but I don't know. I think Calatiel is first of all, closer, so easier to get to where she needs to be, and also probably somebody who's going to freak the poor girl out less if having to deal with them. Besides, Calatiel's the first port of call for any trade negotiations between Baronsveer and Equitas in general, it would do them good to have a relationship. So maybe if we talk to Calatil, make sure that we know where the Baron of Grazing is, make sure he knows his kid's safe.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. But
Yeah.
that was something I was going to mention.
Remember, I do have a heart in here somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. And see if we can get them to open their home to Constance. Just so that we know where everybody is and we're not going to have to chase them across the fucking country when the time comes.
Yeah. There's... That sounds like something that... That kind of a chase, that could be put to music almost, and we don't want to have to add another thing to the list of things Darwin has to put to music.
Why? He makes good music.
He does, but when it involves us, it tends to devolve into chaos.
Yeah, but that's not the music's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
point
the
taken.
lyrics and the subject matter. That's got nothing to do with the music.
Well, it has to do with the music, but the other way around.
True.
The music is chaotic because the situation is chaotic, and okay, yeah, fine, sometimes the situation being chaotic is entirely your fault too, but it's not the fault of the music, it's the fault of the situation that the music is chaotic. It's not the fault of the music that the situation's chaotic.
I get it, but that was a walk.
It makes perfect sense to me.
I follow.
How?
Engaging brain? I'm not saying you don't
Melting.
order some breakfast.
Yes.
It's substantial but fancy kinds of food. So you know, they have a build your own omelet kind of a situation. And just looks at the list of things you can have in your omelet. Looks at Darwin. Please don't make another adventurous abomination.
I was like, oh, I had to build my own.
Can I make you some suggestions and I'll let Hazel try anything. It's her turn.
Okay. I was going to ask Hazel for some suggestions, but by all means.
Hers are just going to involve another abomination. Because remember, surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if she turned around to the waiter. Actually, I kind of want to see that.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know what? I would say, please help.
She puts together something for him, which is like, it's kind of their version of chorizo, pepper jack cheese, various peppers and onions, and a little bit of mushroom for texture. So it's somewhat spicy, meaty kind of an omelet. What is Hazel going to do? Because I'm assuming the rest of you just do something sensible, unless Barnabas has ideas.
No.
Sensible, but I'm imagining when asked if he wants 1, 2, or 3 egg omelet, he's going for 3.
Probably just kind of.
Yeah.
Yes. What is Hazel going to do?
Well, I'm going to ask if there are any unique to this location's takes on it.
Ingredients?
Like to this.
Ingredients or omelette?
Both and or either or.
You want something that is unique to this establishment, though. I have just the thing. 1 egg or 2.
Let's go with 2.
Comes back with what Hazel knows as crumpets, basically. 2 of them with rounds of what appears to be ham, eggs, and covered with this off yellow creamy sauce. And little sprinkles of parsley.
Thank you. And when in Rome, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's basically just poached egg on ham, on crumpet with hollandaise sauce. With a little bit of garlic and horseradish in the hollandaise just for kick. Because this is Egref
adding to
and
the list of things. Sorry.
no, I was about done. It's fine. Go ahead.
This is adding to the list of things I'm going to ask about during cookery class things, provided I don't accidentally detonate something.
Oh god.
I'm pretty sure you won't, particularly if you stick to teaching the things you know and asking pointed questions later on. Although, of course, then there's going to have to be Hazel shopping for ingredients later. And since we are at approximately that time, we will take our break now, and when we come back, we'll eeny, meeny, miny, mo for the rights to see who's going first. And we're back, finishing up a breakfast of fancy poached egg, ham, and crumpet dish, and spicy omelet, and whatever else y'all are having, and getting ready for the. So that's 2, 3, 4. Okay, so since we'll give Noms some time, since most of your early parts of this session were sans a Noms, because Remy was very much otherwise engaged. Not engaged anymore, but you know what I mean. So yes, they head off in the general direction of the shopping district, and probably riding into the general direction of town center along with you guys, as you're sort of off to the edges of town for this particular place. Is the only spot you've got room for it. You will note that beyond the grounds, it's Cabreval as a province is not much of a muchness. It's a little rocky, little bit of vegetation, not too much, but it's not quite desert, but it's not really much else either. It's, apart from Egref, you don't really see much. They don't seem to have a whole lot in the way of farmland, or I mean, there's probably something out there somewhere, but mostly it seems to be Egref, various bits of land, and all that shit under that big-ass cliff. Which explains why they do so much importing. So yes, once I get back to more of the town center kind of area, Remy and Alice head off in the general direction of clothiers and the like, and now we roll the hand of fate. The hand of fate is not kind. Hand of fate involves a terrible lot of wandering and actually trying to figure out what the hell they're supposed to be looking at. Although Alice does wind up poking into shops and plying Remy with, nothing too overly fancy, but generally somewhat nicer shirts in finer linens and the occasional silk than she's used to. Generally in her colors, but she tries a slightly brighter blue and that kind of thing at one point. Eventually, once they're getting to around about the point where they're thinking to just give up and try to get the Heskan thing done so they can say, we have to go do lunch now. They do actually find a shop that doesn't seem to much have a name, which explains why you had such a hard time finding it. But you look into the window and there is Arakakra tidying up. It looks like one of those really upmarket places where there's not actually much on the shelves. So it's very much bespoke tailoring.
Oh. What do you know?
Well, we finally found the place. It really does amuse me. I admit that we've found way more for you than we have for me, but I think that's my life now. Do we want to come back for here later? Sort of try and buzz through the whole Heskan thing while we still have an excuse that we have other things to do, or do we want to stop in here and go from there?
Well, I'm assuming they'll, take your measurements and
yeah, but then they're also
describe your ideal wardrobe.
yeah, and that's gonna take forever, and then we're gonna have to get all the way back to the path of faith, and then come all the way back here. So I figured if we sort of mark this place down in our heads. Got that bit out of the way, and then I can leave you to talk to the forge people, and then you can meet me back here and keep me company while they're actually sewing the things.
Okay, that sounds good.
So one trolley ride to the Shrine of Palor later, and just kind of, I'm never going to entirely get over this place.
Yeah, it's really something.
And I'm mostly looking at it because I'm a little bit nervous about having to confront the individual who did this.
Heskin's seemed perfectly good to me, and
I'm sure he is, but
I'm very confident he won't poke at you without repeated permission first.
yeah, but this is Egref. I'm sorry, but I'm justified in my minor paranoia.
Yes, but he's not a gnome.
We've
or
met
halfling.
we've met gnomes, halflings. We met Allie.
True.
That kind of thing transcends species.
True, but he still seemed pretty level-headed to me. Creative and
If he's not
building,
a
but-
gnome, halfling, or I'm assuming half elf, what is he?
he's a dragonborn.
Okay, I should not judge them all on the basis of Froseth, but I feel a little better.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
Sure, I think he and Process would get along quite well.
Froseth doesn't. Perseth gets along in his way with just about everybody.
That is true.
So,
That is very true.
that's anyway, let's get this over with. And it's not so much the to be fair, even before they get to anywhere like the Dragonborn, there's the Tabaxi who's still working at doing their, tidying up during lunchtime prayers shift downstairs, who's looking at Alice, who's kind of mantling a little bit, just like, oh, no.
Remy points Alice to look at one of the stained glasses, and then she kind of looks at Swift.
And it's just the slightly shamed cat ear. I take it you are to be going upstairs?
Yep. Yes, we've got a business with Haskin, but it's good to see you. Bye.
Likewise. The individual at the sales desk this time is a human girl, Bethan, apparently, who looks up, apparently heard things from Perrick, and is just like stares for a minute, realizes who she's staring at, goes meep, and hides under the desk. You really have been here before, haven't you?
I didn't intimidate anybody, to my knowledge.
And from under the desk, no, but it is the only way I am not going to be staring.
That's. Can you please tell Heskan?
No, they're still on the ground floor. It's like, you still want to speak to Gloria upstairs?
Oh yeah, I got mixed up the other receptionist.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
The little hand from the desk. People do that around you. It's kind of neat. And thankfully she's a little bit distracted by seeing the elevator mechanism and just looking at that for a minute before bing and come out. And Gloria looks at... You want to see Heskin more or less right away, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see if he is available.
Thank you.
Pulls out the specialized sending stone and muttered conversation. And a lot quicker than the first time he came out. He'd clearly been in a bit of a run. Opens the door and just goes, okay, that is not entirely what I intended. Would you like to come through, please? How many people are going to stare at me if I walk through there? Many, but having this conversation out here is not going to be any better. People are going to be coming in from... fuck. Okay. Walks in. Walks to Heskin's little glass office and... Thankfully, there is a kind of a stool-ish set up because, Dragonborn and just punk.
How tall are her wings? Do they go above her head?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they're about the size that you would need to hold up a human being.
Okay.
Smaller than in the reality because we don't have hollow bones and all the rest of it. But they're. I mean, let me have a very quick look at the. Let's see if...
No, I'm just thinking if they go that high, then a cloak obviously does not work.
Well, it depends on whether you have one that just slits to accompany the wings. You can pull it over your head, but it's not going to hide the... Nothing is going to hide the wings, no.
Yeah, that.
Just having a quick look to see if that... Yeah, the wings that were drawn on the chibi are positioned a little wrong. They're not really high over her head, but they're somewhat.
Okay.
Besides, she'd probably look very bizarre if you tried to dump a cloak over that.
Yeah, just a bit.
And so Heskan is sort of sits down at his desk, just looking and then just going, I am not sure whether I am to be apologizing, but can I ask what happened?
Well, she activated the enchantment, and something different happened.
Yes, apparently. Looks at Alice. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Heskan. Hi. Likewise, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do anything different than I normally do. I summoned my wings, and these are apparently my wings now. Okay, as I say, this is very much not what was intended. It pulls out the notebook and starts making some significant notes. And I mean, honestly, I have never done this with an Azimar who was sparked into being by a Solar before, and I don't think this is normal. I mean, the spark granted that through your through your spell was fairly powerful, so that might account for some of it. It looks at Alisei looks at Remy. What spell did you use?
Well, we did channel a bit of help from Serial.
Yes,
so-
but what spell did you use? He's saying the spell that you used was oomphy. So, what spell did you use?
Oh, the cast a daylight.
At which point, Alice says, isn't that one of your big gun spells?
Technically, but it's only light. Doesn't
Oh,
smite anybody.
Heskan looks up and goes, only light? You say this in the Shrine of Palor?
I'm sorry, but
It's
seems like
it's light that can banish magical darkness.
that is very true.
It is the light, you know. I don't do this, so I don't know if that's part of it. And Heskan is like, it might be, I don't know, but I think at the end of the day, maybe I crafted bigger than I thought I did. But mostly, I think if the gods had not wanted this to be, this would not be. So...
I haven't talked to Serial yet.
It might be because Ziriel wanted it. It might be because Baylor wanted it. I don't know. I just know that I followed my instructions and you poured daylight into the thing, and I did not think that was going to be an issue, so I said nothing. And apparently this is... They look at each... Alice and Heskan look at each other for a minute, and she's just like... Yes, you can have a feather. Thank you. I need it for the studying. Fuck's sake. Ow. Here. I am trying to figure out whether you like this or you don't. See, here's the thing. I do. I like this. This is good. I mean, this has some complications, but this is good. It's... You know, it's not even the fact that they were this much a surprise. It's that... Ree intended a thing, and this is not the thing she intended, and it's clearly kind of flustering her, so... I don't like it when she's flustered!
Thank you.
And, you know, I'm going to be flustered because I have appendages that I did not have when I woke up yesterday morning. So, you know, well, I mean, I will tell you this much, your wings are exactly as magical as they need to be to support someone of a person weight. This is not the sort of thing that is going to be dispelled or anti-magic fielded. These just are now. Like the Arakocra, but with you being human looking. I mean, I'm sure that there could be attempts made to remove them, but it does not seem that you want that. It might be worthwhile, and here is the thing, it might be worthwhile to know whether they could be removed by curse, or removal of, but I don't think this is a curse. This might be a thing that you have to ask those who are a little bit more responsible for the actual power than me. I just channeled it into a shape. That is what the makers do. We channel them into shapes, and the power themselves comes from the gods in these particular situations. It might be that I channeled a power I was not either too expecting in ways that made this happen, but I could not say unless the gods or the Solar in question themselves indicated that this is my fault.
On a matter of fault, it's just we're figuring more the how
Well,
and maybe the why.
again, I did what I do, and as I told you, the times that I've done this has not been with ones with such a very direct connection to their celestial patron. This is new for all concerned. Looks at Remy for a minute, decides not to further expound on that because they're starting to edge into territory that Remy said she was only going to bring up in a couple of days. So looks, determines that Remy has not brought it up and has no intention of doing so yet, and nudges the conversation back to this is, I think this is more for talking to Ziriel. I did what I knew to do, and the powers that have been channeled into these prior to were not as were different, more to the point. You wanted something that would absolutely definitely work. I took every step possible to make sure it would absolutely definitely work, and it did, sort of.
But that's perfectly fair, Heskin.
Do you still do the radiant damage when you hit things? Apparently, for the minute, my wings actually glow rather than just reflecting light then. But yeah, I still do that. It's just I have these now. And you seem to have reasonable control over them. Yeah, I mean, it's like muscle memory and various bits of subconscious doing things with them kind of came with the package. Making notes. I mean, theoretically, we could talk all day, but we actually have other places to be today. But apparently there was something about showing you how this turned out, and this is how it turned out. Okay. And I mean, have you tested them in flight? I flew around the city for like half an hour, usual speed as I had with the old wings, and they don't seem to get tired. So, jot. I may some other time have to ask for more notes, but I'm sure that you have celebratory things to be fitting around other bits and pieces, but you are welcome anytime for discussions, and I will have this for study, and make sure that there are no ways of turning this into a spell component. I think you would probably not like being plucked for spell components, but the wings just tighten up behind her. Just fuck no. I mean, if you shed the did we not?
It was nice to see you, Eskin.
Yeah, bye. Just out. By the time they get back downstairs, Peric has actually come to relieve Bethan, and as you step out of the lift, you hear them in the middle of this whispered conversation, which stops dead as you two step out of the elevator, and Peric is just, oh!
Right.
Why is he staring at? Why is he staring? What
He's
the fuck am I?
Haskin's new apprentice, I
Yeah.
think. So he's looped in too.
Ah, right. Yes. Okay. I need to decompress, and you have a date with the Temple of the Forge. You want to go 2 blocks that way, hang a right, half a block down. You can't miss it.
Okay. See you soon.
And screw the trolley. She has wings. She's gonna fucking use them. Yeah. The Shrine of the Forge looks like a blacksmith shop. Just a large one. It's not really a place for quiet contemplation worship. It's for people to make things. When you go in, it's a couple of corners that look a bit like Molly Cathay's little work shed. A couple of smaller, not so much forges, but again, the kind of setup where she had to just melt down smaller things. And set up over it all is a half-orc gentleman. He has not bothered with shirt. Has significant work boots and pair of sturdy trousers that yet still have a couple of scorch marks in places, but it's about all the protective clothing he seems to need. And looks up at the new arrival, looks at the cuff on her wrist. Ah! Congratulations to you!
Thank you.
That suits well, yes?
Yes, it does.
Good. And how is Lady Wife?
She's quite good. It was a remarkable ceremony.
Yes, I heard some things. How is she faring with the gift?
An adjustment, but she'll be happy in the long run. One more thing to be happy about in the long run.
I think she is happy in the short run with the thing that you are alluding to in that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I don't think she would have asked you.
It's very true.
Besides, look at you. You are a snack.
Thank you.
So, I assume you are not here to be checking on any unexpected gifts to do with that. Points at
No, that worked exactly as you, she, and I'm assuming you intended.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Well, you'll thank the forge. You thank, not me. I did bits of the work, but she did a fair bit of it. So, quick study that one. But then again, bard. When they can take their minds out of their shit music, their instrument, or somebody else's pants, they are usually quite good at what they decide they want to be interested in. So, what can I do for you?
I need to talk about a Steelsinger sword. I was told by an Archon that Solar that it can be awakened, and I think I did that when I killed a blue dragon of significant age, but I'm not exactly sure what's changed. And then she'll summon the sword.
I was going to ask you to do that in my office. You don't want to do that in a temple to the forge. See, now you have like a half a dozen people who were doing their own bits of work now. Kind of. You see what I mean? I out of character hand, so I have to ask: is Archon a 40k thing?
No,
It's
it
another
probably
angel
is, but
thing.
I
It
could-
just
yeah,
veers in.
Okay.
they're angels.
I just wondered because it's not the first time you've done that, so I noticed it in the text as well. So anyway, yes, so it's like yes, put that away in whatever dimensional pocket it normally lives in and come with me.
Thank you.
And steps into. This is kind of like the office that Darwin found himself in when he was trying to find a post office. For something that a half orc is running, it's surprisingly neat. It's like being inside the world's largest and most tidy toolbox. Pretty much all the way up the walls, little shelves, little drawers that just apparently have, bits and pieces of things and tools hanging along the back wall where he has his back to them when he sits. The desk only leaves enough room for him to sort of sidle into behind his chair, and the rest of it is absolutely clear but very scarred workspace. Okay, set it down and let me have a look.
Summons it again, sets it down.
Yes, you want to be close. These spells, these kinds of weapons, you have to be within a certain distance of them, or they go back to wherever they came from, so you can summon them again. I did not know if you know this about warlock swords, but honestly, I do not see very many warlocks of the divine bent. It's mostly they are paladins, clerics, who follow the gods in that way, or if they are warlocks, they are to those demonic little fuckers, or those fasciates, or other squiggly things from beyond the hills. I don't know.
I'm in a bit of a unique situation.
Not entirely unique. I understand there's one or two of you lying around the place, but I don't get to see them, and I do not get to see Steelsinger weapons. Let me have a quick look at this thing. It is a moderately recent sword. As much in the way of spiffiness about it. Normally speaking, what does it do?
So how do I, but it uses a dragon's elemental magic against them if it's striking a dragon.
Not just its elemental form from the looks of it. Looks like it is channeling all 5 of the elemental aspects of the major dragons. Yeah, you would know that because the scale splitter does use lightning, poison, acid, fire, and ice. It's just that it bypasses the immunity to its own element.
It was made for slaying dragons.
Well, let's have a quick look at this. Not so quick a look at this, but doing a certain amount of murmuring over the thing. Pulls out a variety of mostly kind of magnifying kind of elements and weird. Something looks like a tuning fork and seems to operate in the same approximate vein. Ting. Okay. This is not so much that it does a thing to the sword and how the sword operates. It's down to what it does to the wielder. Again, with the elemental properties. But it appears to make you resistant to one of the 5 elements that a dragon will give to you. So I don't know if it will if it will operate the same way with your armor. As in, I do not know if it will give you further resistances, because I saw that armor. That armor was also Steelsinger mech and was good. But it was also makes you resistant to the lightnings. And I don't know if that will interfere with this, but apparently you'll focus on it for a few seconds. One action. And you change the resistance that it grants to you. It seems to be set to lightning right now. But it can, I think, be switched to fire, ice, acid. I don't know if that's going to do anything with your shield either. I guess you shall have to test.
I'm sure we'll find a dragon of one of those types sooner rather than later.
Indeed. In any case, this is what it does. It's as long as you have it in your hand, you shall be resistant to the element that it is set to. As I say, at the moment it is set to lightning. You'll have to focus on another element. I don't know if it only is the resistance when you are facing a dragon's version of it. As I understand it from various bits of rumors and a review of some play, I have not had the time to go and see yet. You have healers completely up the ass. So maybe you could get your dragonborn individual to try you with ices, and then find somebody else with an ice spell so that you can see if it is simply a draconic thing, because his is a draconic thing, so maybe you do not have to have his. You can do some testing to see if this applies only to dragons damage or whether it applies to all methods of damage. If you do not mind taking a little bit of freezing, roasting, whatever in.
That wouldn't be a problem.
Yes, this might awaken further, but I do not know what it would do. I would have to look at it when it had. Steelsinger weapons are fascinating. Some of them really do just exult.
It really is something. Do you know how it would awaken further?
I don't know if you would ask the Steelsinger or the weapon itself, but it does not seem talky, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Gregor,
Thank you, Gregor. It's good to meet you.
likewise. Enjoy your first day of married life.
That's the plan.
And of course, as Remy leaves the office, it just has half a dozen devotees of the Forge. Just a couple of them, one halfling, one gnome, are getting very, very close. Just hello.
Do you want to see it?
I want to know who made it.
Well,
You said a Steelsinger. I did not know that we still had Steelsingers.
Yep. she's in a private circumstances.
Everybody is in private circumstances.
It wasn't really my place to ask her, especially when she was nicking me this.
There's a certain leap. This is... What did she use to make this?
A lot of exotic reagents that we had to go a ways out to collect for her.
At which point you now have a half a dozen of Egref's forge worshippers clumped around you, going, tell us, please. I know you cannot tell us where the Steelsinger is. We respect that, but could you please at least tell us the stories of how you got the reagents?
Yeah, well, there is this.
Yeah, just give me a quick overview of how much you're going to tell them. I will not make you completely roleplay the whole thing out.
Yeah, the details. That was a while ago now, but yeah, she tells them what the reagents were and what monster they came from.
They probably managed to pry a couple of the details out of you. They seem particularly interested in various of the mechanisms or in the in the shrine to Nerul. They're particularly interested in that wall, and fascinated by the various bits and pieces that you picked up and how, but you probably get out of there a little late for lunch, and we'll deal with the rest of that after we have covered somebody else. Let's see.
Be right back.
Yep.
Ow.
That sounded crunchy.
Yeah, I actually heard that through the.
It
Wow.
very much was.
Since he's being crunchy, let's deal with Hazel next.
Oh dear God, I might be vibrating through space and time. Out of sheer anticipatory glee.
Since you've been told that the cookery conclave happens at around about lunchtime, you have the morning to collect ingredients for whatever thing you want to teach them to cook. And dear God, we're gonna have to move through this because this is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to.
I mean, such as what happens when you're discussing plot-relevant details about Azamar.
This was not my fucking idea! Anyway. So, yes.
Well, I am...
Hazel in Egref grocery stores.
Yeah, I'm gonna try... I'm looking for a, well, first of all, the largest one I can find, if I even know where to look, but then if I don't, I'm gonna ask.
Well, if you're asking, yeah, it doesn't take you very long before you find something along the approximate size of a small to middling Walmart.
Oh boy. Yeah. After a brief moment of standing outside of it, just kind of staring up at it in sheer bogglement, the vibrational squee takes over, and in I go, full tilt.
Well, you know the kinds of things you find. There's a lot of it is, just things like cup noodles, potato chips in all manner of flavors, Pop-Tarts. You know the cereal aisle in most large American grocery stores?
Mm-hmm.
That.
To say that I'm splurging a little is probably a bit of an understatement.
This is where... Yeah, given that most of this stuff isn't hugely expensive, you have spent a good 6 gold on random cereals, crisps, Pop-Tarts, cup noodles,
No fucking clue which ones
and
these are.
another gold on a toaster, which is actually powered by a rune, much like the little heating runes you guys find and things. So it's not like it has to plug into a wall. But she just asked, what do you need to use these? And the great thing about toasters and Egref is that you can heat hot pockets in them, because these also have hot pockets.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've gone college food shopping, as it were.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that all things considered, given that we're on like the 15-minute mark, we will deal with Hazel does cookery classes via yeah, just the PMRP kind of stuff I generally do with noms, which I might have to do for the clothes shopping post lunch anyway, because again we are running low on time. Barnabas, quick overview.
It would almost be like one of those musical numbers in a movie of like, oh.
I love that.
What's this? What's this? There's chocolate over here.
I would see that, you know? That I would see.
Yeah, Barnabas winds up spending about 5 gold on Willy Wonka levels of candy.
Yeah. Oh, and with the whole jelly beans suggestion thing,
Mhm.
with the soft drinks that they had, was cola one of the flavors that
Yes.
was around?
Yes, and they do have that in jelly bean form.
Right, and he's gonna actually suggest red wine and cola.
Red wine and cola.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating, and it goes into the list.
Interesting.
He's
Outbreak wine.
he is complimented on his ingenuity. Darvin, because I know yours is relatively quick, apart from morning spent, I take it, at the Adventurers Pet Rescue Center.
Specifically, the adventurers. Yeah, he has. When he heard about they lost their adventurer, that got to him a fair bit. So yeah, yeah, he's gonna find himself with the most inconsolable ones they have, and just smother them with love as much as possible, and then going to by this point, unfortunately, my Swiss cheese brain, the name of the place has escaped me out of character, but he'll. And if that's the case in character, then he will ask around.
Yeah, well, he's got it anyway, so he will.
Okay.
Is that lane is still scary?
Yeah. Basically, as I'm there, I'm spending as much time with my. I'm not touching Jack. What?
There are some buildings giving off sparkles and some buildings giving off smoke, and none of them seem to be freaked out by any of this. And the sparks and the smoke all seem to be intentional, as do the noises. Some of them are normal-ish noises like bangs and whee kind of noises, and some of them are blocked drain gurgling and occasional fairy chimes, and you have no idea. And sometimes you get that
Squeal like that.
sometimes you get electric. Most of that from overhead, and you do see more of those black cord things.
Yeah, the zappy ones kind of make me twitch a little because I'm
But you,
remembering that the breath of the yeah, that was zappy.
yeah, you find the place well enough, and what you find is Goliath, human, gnome.
Chaos.
So I walk in, hello, and I give them, I place the shield on the counter and go, I would like, artwork on this, and I give them a description of what I would like, and I'll give you the description I gave the person who actually did the artwork for me. Okay, so there's scroll kind of following the top scroll work on the bottom, but it's a longer scroll, so it's one line and then another line. But then in the center is a cupcake. Not just any cupcake, mind you. We're talking, this is the magical cupcake. This is the most fantastical, magical, glorious cupcake that ever existed. It is the center of all of this. Go sparkles, just go nuts. I don't care. It needs to last, because this is us and my friends and us. This is us. And then I give them Cupcake Coterie across the top, and then the motto, ride or die with frosting. And I give them all of that, and I go.
The gnome has been making notes. Hands it to the human. The human picks up this. Looks at your shield. Picks up this roundish plate, and there's a few minutes with chisel, paintbrushes. And then he attaches it to a giant hammer, and then hands the giant hammer with some difficulty to the Goliath, who handles it with great ease.
It's fascinated. Just.
And it's like one of those test your strength machines. Directly onto your shield, wham! And sparks. Removes.
Jumped about 3 feet when a wham! Oh jeez!
And there's your shield with your cupcake.
Okay, so for the benefit of the video, I'll post the actual digital version in the chat. But that's it. Yes, I know it's backward, but
Very
you'll see.
nice.
Nah, we can actually see it, ride or die with frosting.
Yeah,
Oh, it is forward. Okay, for me
Yeah.
it's backward.
yeah. It always looks like that on mine. Always looks like that on mine too. So I don't know.
Okay, well, that's the artwork printed out, and I'll put for the benefit of the video. That's what's on the shield. I got that done about a month and a half ago. I've been sitting on it ever since.
Yeah, that's two gold, by the way.
Oh yes, of course. 2 gold and then some silver as tip. A good amount of silver.
Okay, well, I'll trust you to knock off however much silver you put as tip for that. And very briefly, Ava, I know you were going to spend some time at the Adventurers Pets Animal Refuge with Darwin, but after that,
We should probably go. The thing we discussed. Right.
you're cutting out there, by the way.
That better?
Yeah.
She'd probably, once that's done, she'd probably go about
And you're
thinking of
Still
things.
doing it.
but you're going for the rifle, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we will say is you remember well enough. You're a ranger. Finding your way around places is a thing you do. You remember the way to Belladonna's and ring the doorbell, and then you have little Bella just, hello to you.
Hi.
I take it you're a satisfied customer and you are looking for more interesting things.
That would be correct.
Okay, come in and then we will see what we can get for you. What sort of thing are we looking for? Ammunition or otherwise?
Well, as you know, I'm a ranged type. So I'm thinking of something to kick them apparently.
You wait right there. Comes back with a box that she's halfling. It's longer than she is tall. Sets it down on her doily covered coffee table because this is still rose wallpaper and just little old ladyville. Flick, flick, and if any of you have ever seen the art for Bad News,
Steampunk sniper rifle, let's do this.
This is actually the third generation of this. You have 2 shots before you need to reload. We have finally fixed the issue where it occasionally jams. I'll put everything onto your character sheet, but do go ahead and make notes just to be on the safe side. Is a little heavy though. So, and any kind of specialized ammunition is... We do have some specialized ammunition, but that will occasionally misfire.
Okay.
Basically, from an out-of-character point of view, what you have is a modified version of bad news. Basically, you fire it twice per round, you'd have to, you would have to use your bonus action to reload. It does not have the, gun malfunction mechanic, because frankly, I can't be asked to deal with that. And there is specialized ammunition of a kind, but that's when the weapon malfunction mechanic kicks in. Just because you're adding a significant, you're adding a significant damage upgrade to, to something that already does more damage than what you would normally do. So if you want specialized ammunition like your Dragon Slayer arrows and that kind of thing, you'd have to use longbow. But for just about anything else, it's like, you can technically jam it into someone's chest and pull the trigger. It still makes a very big hole, but you get more range from this than you would your average longbow. But you might want to practice a little bit with it first. We'll set you up in the yard. I will make for you a sandwich so you do not have to take too much in the way of break. This is going to take practice. Actually, just to very quickly cover it, make me a strength saving throw.
Oh dear. Strength. 12.
No, your saves are better, but you very much wind up having to brace. You take a couple of steps back, and it's only the fact that you're good with your footing that keeps the kick the first couple of times from knocking you over, and you will end up with 3 bludgeoning damage against your shoulder from the first few times this thing kicks against your shoulder. You do wind it won't the next time you're actually firing it in a combat situation, mostly because she was looking at that as a where do we put the padding on this thing, but and you smell of black powder by the time this is over. By the time it's over, your shoulder's bruised, your arms hurt. You're tired, you're hungry despite the sandwich, and you're very ready for lunch, but you have earned yourself a reasonable proficiency for a proficiency bonus with your shiny, shiny rifle. We call it To Whom It May Concern.
I should probably manage you, but I was wondering, is there any way to make it silent occasionally in a stealth situation, for example?
I think you would have to. You would probably have to ask somebody on Izat Lane to see if they could make something that would make a silence spell. I mean, it would burn out the minute it did anything, but. I mean, to be fair, though, there's only a couple of different kinds of people who could even do spells that don't make any noise.
Sure.
You can ask. Is that Lane? You can always ask. But I don't know if it would interfere with things. We do not always like to mix the magics with the technologies. Just on the basis of if they interact funny, then things tend to happen.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that one is gonna cost you 20 gold though, with
Fine.
with enough ammunition to actually put in your. Because funnily enough, this works in your infinite ammo quiver.
Cool.
Going to be kind of interesting to dig out, but I will say that for an extra 5 gold, you can find the individuals in Izat Lane who say no, they cannot provide you with a silencer, but what they can do is provide you with a warping of the enchantment on your infinite ammo quiver that adds a pouch to a easy to reach area that will give you your infinite bullets.
Yeah, that seems good.
So all together, that is 25 gold.
That's fine. And once that's done, I probably do the component.
Yeah. I mean, how much of each of the components you need is something we can probably discuss a bit more off screen. But most of the component costs are pretty much obvious for bits and pieces. There's a couple of things I'm clearly going to have to cover with a couple of you out of game. Conversation with Ziriel, because I'm pretty sure that Remy can use the time that Alice is getting measured for shit. And Hazel's brief culinary arts, but we've got a couple of weeks for that. So when we come back in 2 weeks' time, everybody will be getting back together for an exceptionally late lunch. And what I did on Remy and Alice's honeymoon. I will see you guys in 2 weeks.